Hello and welcome to Travelin Young. Let's say this month's Travelin Young.
Yeah.
It's been...
We had a good streak there for a while.
Yeah, but
then we start traveling again.
It's been crazy. We've been like...
Life's been busy.
Life's been busy.
Yes.
I'm not going to give it away, but Maya and I were just on an amazing trip for 10 days that will result in a couple videos that I believe you'll enjoy that we still have to finish up. But that was part of the reason why we've been so busy. You and I
then
were
right
gone.
before that, I spent 2 weeks writing my SRP.
Yeah.
So
a rite of passage.
So that happened.
And now we've got interesting sunlight because there's sunlight. But
learning all kinds of new things.
On this week, hopefully not just one this month, we're going to talk about the things that we would change about Denmark since we've lived here to complement the video where we talked about the things we'd change about America.
Yes.
On this week's, not just months, but weeks, Travelin' Young. All right, here we are, and I just have to say this again, this sunlight situation. It's, maybe we should have done this in like 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like right at sunset, it's just like an interesting vibe.
Sometimes you have to learn the hard way.
It is what it is. We're doing this right now because we got dinner coming up pretty soon. All right, so the things I'm going to start.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we're going to begin with things that are a little bit, cash.
Yeah.
And then it'll get a bit more brisket behind you's going crazy.
Progressively more serious.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with one thing I would change. Mm-hmm. Access to good peanut butter.
Okay. I guess this is more two things. But
it's kind of two things. I am throwing two into one. Access to good peanut butter, which we've got a whole video about peanut butter because we love peanut butter. And on our trip, I won't say where we were, we saw peanut butter, though we didn't buy any.
So the appropriate peanut
butter. Yeah, the right kind of peanut butter. And it was like, it had an alarm on it. It was that serious. And ice, which we talked about in the walking around our house video.
Very controversial topic.
Controversial topic of ice. It's funny because people commented, learn how to make ice. Like, I'm not aware of the science of water being frozen.
We had a lot of people advise us that your freezer comes with trays. To make ice, but that's not the point.
The point is to have it automatically there because of the high level of consumption for ice that I like, then all of us.
Yeah, because even if you have a tray, even if you have like 8 trays, like you might not have enough ice for what you're wanting to do.
Yeah, and I don't like it when one of us, it just creates internal family conflict when somebody goes in and there's like one ice cube and doesn't fill up the tray.
Well, that's you.
But not you.
So I don't know how that would be happening to you.
If the ice gods were just doing that automatically, that's what I would change. Access to good peanut butter, not that oily natural stuff, and ice cubes in my refrigerator freezer. That's something I would change.
Understandable.
Miranda.
Mine's the next one. This irritates, as somebody who cannot have gluten, it drives me insane that there is pasta at the bottom of the salads at Netto. I go in, I need something for lunch. I can't eat like 90% of it because you put pasta in the bottom of the salads.
I mean, the first thing...
even if you're... Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just even if you're not gluten-free, why would I want pasta in my salad? And it's not pasta salad.
No. It's like lettuce, chicken,
it's a salad.
Tomato.
With pasta.
And then there's just pasta in it. And it's like, what? Who invited you?
So I've never seen that until we moved here.
No.
The first thing I do when I'm at a grocery store and I want to get a pre-made salad is I flip it over to see if there's a surprise at the bottom of it.
I'm tired of it.
And then I say, nope, I'm not going to have that thing that's not supposed to have pasta noodles in it.
Yeah, and people have said it's probably meant to be filler, but it's like, why do you need a filler in salad?
And also, all the salads that have it, like, they're already, like, big enough. What is the pasta adding?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was, like, do we really need a filler for salads?
Like, I don't want literally, like, cold, sticking together pasta.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
No, and actually, I'll just go off to say what you just said.
Yeah.
I also don't like cold pasta.
Yeah, also that.
So even if there's no salad involved,
like
that's why I don't like things like,
like maybe
pasta salad stuff that's cold. I don't like cold pasta noodles. I need it to be warm.
It's like a weird textural mix because you have this like soft, overcooked pasta at the bottom and then like really crunchy lettuce and it's very confusing.
I mean, maybe I'd actually be into it if it was cooked. Maybe I could be. I could kind of see that more.
I feel like no, but I like how you're trying to give it credit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, sticking with grocery food items, Maya, you're the next one.
Clearly, we're so pressed about food and stuff. Mine is also 2. But the first one is that I really wish there were bigger grocery stores. I know that Bilka exists; those are pretty big, but they're not like everywhere. Like at least where we live, like the closest one is like Fields, which is like okay,
pretty
I'm
far.
not driving 45 minutes.
Well, you can't even drive, so.
Okay, well, I'm not taking the train
It's not
for
45 minutes.
Unless we want to go to the pants place where we can just dump it in the machine, then that makes it worth it.
Yeah,
true.
But I don't know. I just wish there were more accessible big grocery stores, because like I feel like sometimes now when I like I'm looking at a recipe or something, I'm like there could be something on there that is not even that bizarre, but I'm like where am I gonna go to find
I
this?
need a food text for that.
But like in America, it could be like something crazy, and it would be like, yeah, okay, Target probably has that.
It also, because that also reduces the variety.
Yeah,
In the
exactly.
store because
There's
it's so small.
Much more stuff.
Yeah,
And
and the
then-
second part.
Yeah, second part of that is hours. This also goes with like doctor's offices and stuff because this really irritates me. But grocery stores especially, that they all close, what I would say is like early, like around 9 o'clock. But it's like, I miss like Target being open until like 11:30 at night.
Well, and you're a night owl, and so is Josh. And sometimes I think you guys, were like at 10 o'clock at night.
It's like, what if
craving something,
Or-
and
what if there's
stores
an
are
emergency?
closed.
Just the other night, we went to Vega. We went to a show at Vega.
Yeah.
And Ideal Bar, but we were at a show Friday night, and we were like low on toilet paper. And on the way back, we're like, okay, we'll get some toilet paper on the way back. And it's like, no, it's like 10:30. Nothing's going to be open. And it was funny because we were walking, and this guy who we had been chatting with at the show, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm looking for a Netto. And he's like, oh, you need to eat something? I go, no, I think I need to do something with what's been eaten. And luckily the 7-Eleven that we jumped in to get a snack
so
had toilet
exciting.
paper.
Yeah.
But normally in the US you could just like drive past the Target on the way
wouldn't be a
home.
problem.
Although I was reading an article today that said post-pandemic, there's a lot less 24-hour places in the US. Like diners, it was specifically about diners. But also like Walmarts and stuff.
Yeah.
And
But
things
are they
that
at least
are
up
24 hours.
Yeah.
They're
But
open
maybe
later
they'll
than
at least
10,
open
I'm
till
sure.
11.
Yeah.
But not 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you could go to some Walmarts, maybe not Targets, but Walmarts.
Yeah.
At 4 a.m, especially in college towns.
I don't know if I need like that, but just a little bit later.
You'd be surprised.
I mean, the doctor's office thing is more just that I think it's annoying that most doctor's office you can only call like 1 hour of the day.
Yeah.
It's very annoying.
Yeah.
Can I just call when
We
you're
call
open?
that bank hours.
Yeah, that really irritates me.
Okay, the next one is a bit more serious. We're moving away from food now.
Yeah. It's
And
getting real.
I would change how, as somebody who's not Danish, who moved here for a job, and I have obviously limited experience in that I only worked one place when I first moved here. This may not necessarily be representative everywhere, but I think it could be to some degree. I feel like there wasn't enough attention paid to helping me kind of assimilate into the culture, adapt to a different way of working. And so I find that experienced professionals that have been in the workforce for many years that move here don't really get enough support when coming in. And I feel like that's not necessarily just the job that I had, because I've seen little bits of this in other places. And I've seen other people that I know that have had challenges with this as well. And so I think that's something that I would change is how to support experienced people when they come here. And it feels like I was brought here to be different and to like kind of be this like catalyst for change. And in the end, it was like, we don't really want you to be different. We want you to be like everybody else. And I'm like, well, that's not why I moved here, And that was something that I think is not just at the place I work, although maybe it was a little bit more extreme there, but that's something I would change.
But I wonder if that comes down to, I feel like Danish culture is very much one where they don't want to, I guess, invade your privacy, or they don't want to make assumptions, and so they expect you to reach out and say, hey, I need help. But I think if you're new, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what to ask for.
That's a cultural thing that would have been good to know. Like, like the way that things are just conducted at work is different, like people be like, oh, you didn't read the 15th page, paragraph 4 to know that this is what you need to do? I'm like, no, I missed that. I didn't know I needed to see that.
I needed to do that.
And there's kind of this expectation that you're given a bunch of stuff and you should just, absorb
Ask
it all.
questions,
And nobody helps you know how to prioritize the most important things. And that made navigating work and work culture and changes to that very difficult when I first came here. All right, so
and then next was I think mine with like.
Yep.
Oh no, you're the last one. The next one I think was going to be yours.
Well, I think it speaks to both
It's
of
kind
us,
of
but
together.
It's kind of together because it was the thing we both experienced. And that is getting access to mental health, and I think mental health care. I'm sorry. I think that it can be really challenging, and I think even as a parent, if you have a child who's coming over, and maybe they start experiencing something where it would be really beneficial to speak to a professional, it's really, really difficult to find somebody who can do that, because we ran into, they would only talk to really small children who had been in trauma situations or like, people over the age of 18.
Yeah, so if you're like in those teenage years, which is like where a lot of times that's what happens, it's like, well, too bad.
Yeah, and it just ended up, we tried several times to get some help for Maya. She unfortunately needed some help. And
I even remember talking to the doctor, and I was like, the wait times for this, even when I turned 18, it was like the wait times for this are so long. Like, I don't want to wait a year and a half. Like, I want to see someone. And my doctor was like, oh, well, yeah, the only way you could maybe see someone faster is if you went to the hospital and like, said it was like an emergency. But even then, I don't know if it's gonna work.
It kind of feeds into that stereotype, which we'll do a video about Danish stereotypes. But I'll say this, which is like, the Viking way is to just deal with it, move on. You don't need to get help, And they say that there's happy pills that people in Denmark take in order to, because there isn't that's what that was even in our Danish language books, articles about happy pills. And people have mentioned it in comments and stuff.
That they take a high amount of antidepressants.
Yeah,
but being able to get that prescription first place.
Yeah, but even getting the help that maybe wouldn't necessarily need that, in other ways that maybe that isn't the answer to it, right?
Yeah, so that was frustrating as a parent, because I would have to go back to her and be like, I think the best thing to honestly do at this point is to wait until you're 18, and that's what we ended up doing. And then we were able, through our private insurance, to get her the help that she needed.
Yeah.
And it's been great since then.
Yeah. Once you're in it.
Yeah, it's like fabulous care since then.
But I just feel like it should be so much easier for people who maybe don't have the opportunity to get on private healthcare to be able to get the help that they need, because some people Sorry,
the cat. She's been crazy.
In some situations, someone might not have a year and a half.
And there's many people who don't have access to private healthcare. So they're just in the system, and so it is really frustrating.
So,
yeah. By the way, the sun's gone down.
It has gone down. It has.
All right, so the last one, though, is yours, which it kind of, I think we all have opinions on this, but why don't you... By the way, Brisket is alive.
He is. Here he is.
And Ollie's... like,
she's going crazy.
I don't know what she's doing.
If you see her bolting, or hear weird noises, it's her.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
But so just a little bit with like immigration. This is probably the most controversial on the list. But a little bit with immigration, and just how it's very difficult for minors to be able to stay here. And it's actually because it's not just minors. Like, if you came here when you were really little, like, that's different. There are like routes you can take to get permanent residency and everything. But if you're not like 6 years old, it's pretty difficult. If you're like any age under 10, it's all right. But since I was 14 when I came, there's not a lot of opportunities. I'm basically treated as an adult. I have almost the same rules that you guys do. Except most of the visas require me to have a full-time job, which obviously I didn't have at 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I still have to finish my education, which takes time. You guys have already finished yours when you came over, so it really just prolongs it. And, school doesn't even count as like a full-time job. So I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just sitting waiting.
So she's here as an accompanying family member, which can't go on forever. And at some point, she has to have her own visa. And my belief is anybody like Maya, and when I say like Maya, I mean anybody in Maya's situation, regardless of where they came from, their family background, their ethnicity, anything, doesn't matter. Anybody in Maya's situation that comes here through their parents for any reason. and goes through Danish schools.
Yeah.
And goes through everything. She's fluent in Danish. I mean, it doesn't make sense. As taxpayers, us and everybody is paying for her to be educated in Denmark.
Yeah.
Why would Denmark not want to do everything possible to get her to stay and work here and contribute as part of the economy and society after she graduates? I mean, it shouldn't be difficult. It should be encouraged.
And I mean, and I also pay taxes, which also
Yeah.
doesn't. It's like, okay, what am I paying?
But I mean,
for?
it's like, a lot of things are, from a taxpayer perspective, it's like, well, everybody in Denmark is paying to educate you.
Yeah.
And so we should all want you to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be part of the society that has contributed to you growing up and becoming smart, right?
And we were talking about this today, and I recognize that they used to education counted towards your permanent residency, but now it doesn't. And I understand not wanting to give that to, let's say, an international student who comes over when they're 19, 20 or something to study. But for people like her who come over as minors, and she went to Danish folk school, she went to F school, she's in Danish gymnasium and not an international school, and she's going to go on to Danish university, I feel like there should be some kind of exception or something where it says if you came as a minor and you do nothing but Danish education up through university, then that makes the path easier.
Yeah.
But
and again, there is already a visa that's kind of like that, but you have to have come to Denmark. You have to be like 18 when you apply, and you have to have lived in Denmark for like 10 years. So basically,
basically
you have
came
to have
when
been
you were
8. So that's why I said any age before like 10. It's like okay,
easier.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe if you'd done X amount of years before university, like if you basically, like what you did, which is you passed all the proficiency classes and tests you needed to be able to go to gymnasium. You passed a Danish course, you passed like all these different tests.
All the state exams.
If you can do that, and you've been here long enough and able to do that, then that should be sufficient enough.
Yeah.
For you to at least get permanent.
I mean, I can understand if you move here maybe at like 17 and you just get university, maybe that could be like a weird exception, but
yeah, I don't know.
It's still,
it's so weird that like I have gone to school, passed all the same tests as my like Danish, school, whatever, people next to me, and yet it still doesn't matter.
Yeah. This is something that absolutely should change. And it's not us. I mean, I understand we came as adults. We knew what we were getting into. We understood
your education
the
already,
rules. I finished, but I mean, I knew the rules. We came here with jobs. And that was our decision to kind of navigate the challenges there. But the immigration for people like Maya and her age is just ridiculous. It just doesn't make, I mean...
I don't know what else I could do except...
And I wish more Danes knew about it, because every time I talk about, not myself, but when I tell them what Maya's situation is, even Danes that I talk to, they're like, that's insane.
Yeah.
And so if we just get down to the taxpayer element, let's just get down to what a lot of people, a lot of like challenges around immigrants and immigration are like, I'm paying taxes for this, that. You are paying for her to be educated. You should want her to stay here. You should want her to stay
here.
Yeah, but you should.
Wants to stay.
Everybody should want to let her contribute, and people like her to contribute to society after they become professionals.
Yeah.
And there's not enough working age people, honestly, in Denmark. And this cat is going insane behind it. And we need more people in the workforce in order to keep the economy growing and stuff.
But I will say
it's crazy.
there is a bill that's going through. It's been proposed, so I don't know. Maybe check on the status of it. But there was a bill that was going to go through that even if you lose your residency for whatever reason, if you're studying for a job that's on the positives list, then you can still stay and complete your education and then have several months to find a job afterwards.
Yeah. That doesn't really have anything to do with like age though, like when you came here and stuff.
No. But that's the point. So that's something that if you would like to support changes in immigration, you can tell
those that don't positive list
representatives.
are specific professions where Denmark needs more people for.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's, regardless of how much money you really make in that profession, those are like approved jobs. Because there needs to be more doctors and teachers and specific jobs. So, and Maya is going to study to be one of those anyway. So she would.
So if that gets passed, I guess worst comes to worst.
You get to
stay. But yeah.
Okay, let's wrap it up there because I don't know how long it's been. It feels like it's been a while. But thank you. Let us know what your thoughts are. What was something that you would change in Denmark as a Dane or non-Dane?
Yeah.
And I don't want any flack on the peanut butter thing, guys.
Let's make the national anthem a Kim Larson song.
Yes, it already kind of is when you graduate from folks school. That's all it was, a whole bunch of Kim Larson songs. All right, thank you so much, and we will see you later. Yeah?
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.